Hello, everybody. This is Beth Worsdell, author, here for Writer's Rock. And I'm so excited and stoked because I've got Marcie Keithley here with me today. Hi, Marcie.
Hi, Beth.
How are you, darling? You're looking rather fabulous.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, I'm so excited too. Marcie, I'm just going to quickly share our live stream interview with the Writer's Rock group and the Writer's Rock readers, because they're all waiting with anticipation to hear what you've got to say. So I'm just going to quickly share that now. I'm getting rather good at this, I've got to be honest, and I don't mind bragging. Okay, there we go. That's Writer's Rock. That's done. Writer's Rock. Readers, look at this. I wish I could set this up automatically. It'd be so much easier. There we go. And then I'm going to post and share on my own page as well, so everybody gets to join in. There we go. See, we're done.
All right.
How quick was that? I think I might start timing myself, see how quick I can get. Marcie, I'm absolutely thrilled for you to join me today, because you really are so inspirational, and I don't want to make you blush, but I am so blown away by what you've done, what you are doing, and the impact you're making to so many people and families. I'm blown away. I'm just going to quickly properly introduce you, because you are an author first and foremost, but you're also a coach, a speaker, and an advocate.
Yes.
So let's go to the beginning of where all this happened, because your story is just so heartwarming, and it really does. It brings a tear to my eye, I've got to tell you. So tell us about yourself. How did all this evolve from?
Absolutely. Well, thank you again, Beth, for having me on. And I'm real excited to share my story with all of you here at Writer's Rock. So, yes, this all began in 2007. In the fall of 2007, I was at the top of my financial career, living the American dream. So pulling in a six-figure salary, the dream home, the Lexus in the driveway, in a marriage of 17 years, and you thought I had everything.
Wow.
Had a beautiful golden retriever, daughter, grandchildren. Everything was just going perfect to the outside world. But like many of us, we carry wounds from our childhood, from our past, and no one sees the inside. No one sees our heart and what's going on. That was where I was. I needed to make some hard decisions at that time in my life. My marriage to the outside world was really a sham. I needed to end it. The divorce papers were laying there. I just refused to sign them. I was in denial.
Did you feel trapped as well? Were you feeling in a trapped situation?
I don't know if I felt trapped. I mean, I actually moved away, sold our home, moved away, bought my own house. But ending that, that long-term relationship was difficult for me. But that was just one of the things where I was just unsure of myself. I was in denial about the whole marriage. My golden retriever was dying of cancer.
Oh.
He needed to be put down. He had a tumor on his leg, and I kept putting it on. I was in denial. He was going to be okay. So I come home from the bank, and I pull my car in the driveway to my usual routine. And my dog was never allowed in my bedroom from the day he was puppy. And I tore my house apart and couldn't find it. And, my stomach just fell. And I tore the house apart, and he had burrowed himself into my walk-in closet.
Oh.
And to me, I interpret that as a place to die, because that was very uncharacteristic of Dreyfus. He knocked over all my boxes of shoes. and I got down on the floor with him to hold him and comfort him. And I'm sitting there in my closet holding my dying dog. And I look up, and there is a shoebox that was laying on its side that I have lugged around since 1978.
Wow.
That contained my trauma. And it was, the contents of that box were painful memories of the day I lost my daughter to adoption and the love of my life. And I just never got over losing him or her. But again, on the outside, you would think everything was fantastic.
Yeah, he was wearing a mask.
And the wounded wear masks. You know, that's something that I learned. I got really good at that game. So actually, I sat there, and it was there that I realized I had that moment, you know, that epiphany where it was like, he's almost telling me, okay, this is a turning point in my life. I need to sign my divorce papers. I need to put my dog down. And I need to find my daughter.
Yeah.
And I felt that the only way I could find her was to start with him.
Did you almost feel that it was your golden retriever's last gift to you?
I actually say that.
Yeah, like it was fate.
He had given me this, you know, these years of joy and happiness, and that was his last gift to me, because he knew I wouldn't have the strength to put him down on my own.
Yeah, yeah.
His way of saying, okay, that's how I interpreted it.
That's just amazing. I'm just going to quickly say hello because we've got some viewers that have commented. We've got Wanda.
Hey, Wanda.
There she is, my darling. And what's lovely is that Wanda is such a big dog person as well, so she can really connect with your feelings after your dog, because she's just literally published her first children's book all about dogs, and these dogs are actually adopted, real life adopted dogs. So I knew you would love that. We've also got Sanjay. Hi, Sanjay. Thank you for joining us, darling.
Sanjay, I was going to ask if you were going to be here tonight, Sanjay, because I know that you're on these calls a lot.
He is. And I've got to tell you, I think Sanjay's actually changed his profile pic. He's looking all cheeky right now. He said, we're looking good. I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. Thank you for joining us, Sanjay. I'm so chuffed that I can actually show these comments to you as well. It's absolutely awesome. Now, so your heart must have just absolutely stopped when you found this shoebox that you'd buried in your closets, trying to hide away from those memories and that hurt and that pain. How did that make you feel? I mean, did it all come like crashing back, or
well,
how did it feel?
It did, and I describe it as a poltergeist, almost like if I opened the lid, this poltergeist was going to come out. It was going to snatch me. It was, you know, that pain was going to be that intense. And I actually didn't open it for a couple of days. I set it on my hassock and I looked at it, and I moved it and I put it in my office first, and then I moved it over here, and I was like, do I have the strength to do this? Do I want to do this? And then I realized that I wasn't that same person anymore.
Yeah.
None of us are. You know, I was 52 years old, and it's like none of us are the same people we were when we were young. I am wiser, and I am stronger, and I want to take ownership in what happened.
Yeah.
And I want to know what happened to my daughter.
Now, sorry, I'm just going to have a quick sip because I've got terrible hay fever. Keep getting a dry throat. It's like having Gandhi's flip-flop in my mouth. So take us back to, you know, the early 70s. You know, you lose the love of your life. And on top of that, your daughter ends up being adopted. And those times were so different, Marcie. They were so different. You know, women weren't allowed to be, you know, single parents. It wasn't acceptable. How did all that come about and affect you at such a young age? I mean, it must have been an awful time.
It was. And you have to understand, I mean, the audience, your viewers this evening, and depending on how old you are, adoption back then there was no choices. Okay, closed adoption. If you ended up signing those papers, that was it. You knew nothing. You didn't pick families. There was nothing. Okay, and my doctor actually solicited me. I mean, I wasn't even thinking adoption. I thought the love of my life would come through. He would come through at the end and we would get married, because I knew I couldn't go home. I knew my father would not allow me in the house if I was pregnant and not married. Yeah. And I hung on. And I really thought he would come through. And, he was just scared. But it didn't happen. But my doctor, and he did it very subtly, it was, so, have you finished the nursery? Who's going to be watching your child when you return to work? When are you getting married? Just those, very, and for someone young.
Yeah, subtle manipulation.
And you have to remember how we looked at our doctors too back then. I mean, they were our world. I mean, whatever they said. So that's how the whole adoption thing started. And when Roger does abandon me and he does leave me, I felt I had no other recourse but that. And so I surrendered her to adoption. We don't say give away. That's not nice. But we basically surrendered because we basically just didn't have a choice.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, the options just were not there in that era.
No daycares. I would have to find a babysitter, and I was 600 miles away from home, and it just, it was not going to work.
No. And that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, in the early 70s, there was so much against women at that time, because people, we still had a very strong traditional generation above us. As you said, our parents and our grandparents, they were so traditional, and you must keep up appearances. You can't do anything out of the ordinary, God forbid.
And we had shame.
Yeah.
We had shame.
Yeah.
So,
and you're absolutely right with regards to the doctors and everything else. It even back then it was even more prestigious, wasn't it, to be a doctor, and they were 100% trusted.
Yes.
I can't even imagine the turmoil that you must have been in, and only having one person trying to manipulate you, giving you an inkling of light to hold on to.
Mm-hmm. Soul crushing. That's a way to describe it. Did we freeze? Beth, are you with me? Can you hear me?
Sorry about that, Marcie. We had a glitch. I don't know where we went.
Where did I lose you at?
I think luckily it was me that was talking. Thank goodness. So after that happened to you, and how long did it take you to try and have some sort of normality after you had to surrender your daughter?
Yeah, that's the thing. The day that I came home from the hospital, I went to stay with my sister, and I went upstairs in my room, and I was thinking about all those things, about how am I going to get up tomorrow and just be normal? Now, when a woman has a baby and goes to the hospital, and she goes home with a baby, let me back up before I say that. When a woman loses a baby, when she delivers a baby and it dies, okay, she has a support system, she has family, she has maybe a funeral, whatever. But for us, it was just nothing. I mean, we had to grieve alone. We had to process those emotions alone.
Yeah, and it was grief.
Because they told us, don't talk about it, don't think about it, just pretend you didn't have a baby, and you will get over it in time. And I remember sitting in the room that day going, how am I going to live with myself? How am I? I mean, I just had no idea. So I started writing, and we should find all this out in the book, but we've got all kinds of spoiler alerts here, but I'm going to leave a lot of it out. But I ended up writing a poem. I made up a poem to her, and I put some things in a shoebox. And I thought, well, if I could put all these things in a shoebox and wrap it up and just park my pain, contain it, maybe I could, if I couldn't stop the pain, I could manage the pain.
Yeah.
That was my thought.
Yeah.
So I throw all these things in a shoebox, tie it up with a ribbon, throw it in my closet, and throw all these sweaters over it. Like I contained my being. And I could get
out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah. That was my youth. And of course, that never happened, but I lugged that thing around for 30 years.
Yeah. Yeah. And then your beautiful golden retriever decides to send you a lifeline just as he's about to cross.
He does.
Oh my gosh. So do you know what? I've got such an active imagination. Obviously, that's why I ended up writing sci-fi fantasy fiction. But I've got to tell you, Marcie, just the thought of you in your closet on the floor, cuddling your dying dog in one hand and holding the shoebox in the other, I can't even imagine the cascade of emotion that would have created.
Well, I in chapter 1, it is very, I wrote that I wanted my readers to feel exactly what that was like. So you're going to get a front row seat at that, because it was almost like my life was going backwards, and this black cloud is like it just came into the room and just took over. And I knew, I felt my whole world shift. I mean, I knew that I was leaving, one chapter of my life and I was re-entering another, but I couldn't identify it.
Yeah.
I just knew it.
Now, when did you actually start writing your book? Was it during the course of you trying to find your long lost love and your daughter, or was it afterwards?
It was after we were reunited, all of us as a family. So that was Father's Day 2008. And that was 2 months after we got married.
Wow.
So I opened the box, and of course, it takes me a little while to find him, and we find each other 4 months late. I find him, and then 4 months later we get married, and 2 months later we find our daughter. And you think that's the story, Beth? That is not even the story. So no spoiler alerts there, guys. That's not the story.
Do you know what? I hope everybody who's watching right now buys your book, because I think it's so important to not only show that a life can change so dramatically in a positive way by facing the past and your own trauma, but I also think that grief is such a huge, important thing that we all have to go through, not just through situations like yourself, but throughout life. I'm a great believer that grief is good.
There is good grief. There is good grief.
Yeah, absolutely. And I believe it's such an important thing because, I've been through it myself. As a child, and all the way through, actually, as a child, I grieved when my parents split up, going through a stage thinking it was my fault. And that took me many years to get over that and be mature enough to realize it isn't my fault. And then I had a car accident in 2007, which left me with permanent injuries. And I went through a huge grieving process of mourning the person that I used to be and accepting the person I am now. And lots of stuff in between. So I'm sure you've gone through the same process, because you must have not only been grieving over your younger self, but all those years of not knowing where your daughter was. Is she okay? All those things must have been mind-blowing.
I would like to describe a scene in my book. You touched on something. The very first evening in our home, we flew her when we found her. We flew her to Southern Indiana, and she stayed with us for a week. So the first evening that she's in our home, she's very familiar with me, just like we've known each other forever.
Wow.
And we're on the sofa, and we're getting ready to go to bed. We got gone out to dinner and done some other things. And she comes out in her pajamas, and she lays her head in my lap. And she's looking up at me, and she's just saying, and she's touching my face. And she just kept saying, "You're my mother. You're really my mother.
Oh.
I knew you'd find me. I never gave up. I just knew you'd find me." And my husband, her father, is sitting on the floor, and he's got his arms wrapped around the bottom of her legs. And in that moment, the room just got crowded, because those younger versions of us were there, along with our current selves. And that wasn't an adult laying in my lap. That was my baby. And there was my young, handsome boyfriend. And with all those years we missed. And it was devastating to me.
Yeah.
When I realized it was just devastating that we had all been separated and all that time. But here we were. And how amazing that was. And you'll find out there's so many things that the universe had us aligned to meet, even throughout the decades. But that was that I didn't know what to do with that. I mean, I thought I was a strong woman. I thought I could handle anything. When I found her and I had her, we can make this happen. We're going to blend this family and it's going to work.
Yeah.
I can do anything. Okay. But I couldn't. And of course, that's where the story really gets into what I learned and what had to change and why I do what I do today.
You are just so inspirational, absolutely inspirational. I'm just going to share some comments here. Look, there you go. Sanjay says, "I'm sorry." Bless him. I think anyone who hasn't been in a similar situation would find it hard to really comprehend the time span and the long-term pain, and it has to have changed you in such a deep way, both positive and slightly negative. But I mean, obviously you're a very driven, positive person. Now, I know that you run the Indiana Adoptee Network. You're vice president of the HEAR, which is Hoosiers for Equal Process to Records. This is obviously all driven because of what you and your daughter and everything has been through. But how did it all come about? Did you actually seek it, or what happened?
Well, when I met my daughter and I said, "What took you so long? I've been here," because she kept saying, "I've been looking for you forever." And I said, "But I've been right here." I just assumed at 21 or 18 or whatever that if she wanted to find me, she would. And when she didn't, I took that as she's living the life that I was promised, and I did not want to interrupt her life.
Yeah.
She was looking for me. I would never deny it, but I didn't want to go out and seek her. But she said she had, and she said, "But Mom, the records are closed." I said, "What do you mean the records are closed?" I said, "You're an adult. I'm an adult. What's the big deal?"
Yeah.
I never signed anything for a lifetime promise of, confidentiality. And in fact, they didn't even give us a copy of what we signed. It was basically, sign here, give us your infant. They didn't want us to have copies of what we signed.
Wow.
I mean, nobody can guarantee a life, privacy is a myth. I mean, there were some women, the thing about privacy back then was you had privacy from the unwed birth. It wasn't in the newspaper. It used to be in the newspaper and all those things. So the court records, it was private. But no one can guarantee a lifetime of confidentiality. I mean, anyway. So I said, "Well, what do you mean?" And she goes, "Well, my birth certificate," and she said, she called it her fake birth certificate. I said, "What do you mean your fake birth certificate?" And she said, "Well, it says that I was born in a different city, different hospital." I'm like,
no.
What? So then when I met her adopted mother, who, that's another story. I mean, she was dying of cancer when I found my daughter. So that was perfect timing. So you'll hear more about that.
Wow.
She said, we had spoken about this, and she said, well, the doctor thought it would be better that way. So we adjusted it. And their names are on the birth certificate as if they had given birth to her. That's
outrageous.
But that's how they do it. I mean, that's how they do it. It wasn't just me. That's how that's done in adoption. When a family takes it on, they do what's called an ABC. It's called an amended birth certificate. And then they take the original birth certificate, and it's sealed along with the court records in your state's capital, where you keep your vital records.
Wow. Do you know what? I honestly, Marcie, I never knew that. Sanjay's just saying, bless her heart. There we go. He said, "You can do anything." And he just said, "You lovely ladies, my bedtime." So he's in England, bless him. No, it's Sanjay. Thank you for joining us, darling. Oh, bless him. Oh, he's out to work. Oh, bless him. No rest for the wicked. That's all I can say. He must have been Attila the Hun in a previous life, bless him. Wanda's saying good night as well. Oh, bless him. Yeah, do you know what? I never knew that sort of thing actually happened. See, the United States is actually behind the rest of the world when it comes to adoption. Right, that may be why I didn't realise then, because I don't think that sort of thing happened in England. I know obviously there are some dodgy shenanigans that have gone on in the past, but England's records, they opened theirs in I believe it was the mid or the late 70s. Right. And of course, Australia, the Prime Minister, she even went forward and gave a public apology to the women who lost their babies, because some of them were actually just taken. Yeah. So, you've heard of the movie Philomena. Yes. And so, but that's a whole nother conversation for another day. But the United States still, I mean, there are more and more open adoptions, but some are still closed. Yes. Yeah. But I'm from the decade, where they call it the baby scoop era. I was right after the baby scoop era, where up to Roe versus Wade, right after World War II. Right. It's amazing, isn't it, how things have come on and changed, just in our lifetimes. I mean, things have just changed in leaps and bounds. And I slightly touched on this before we became live. I was actually up for adoption. And I didn't know until about, must be about 6-7 years ago. And I've always had a really, really good relationship with my mum. We've always been super close. However, my mum is from that generation where it wasn't a done thing. Everything was hidden away. You know, it was so frowned upon and everything else. And my grandmother, before I was born, was basically recovering from being abused by my granddad. He was an awful, awful man. So unfortunately, my mum didn't have really my grandmother to able to help her, because my grandmother was still recovering from years of abuse. My mum was so worried about what people would still think, bless her. And my mum is the most amazing woman I've ever known. Honestly, I've got her on such a high pedestal because she's just amazing. And I, as an adult, I truly do understand the position she was in at that time. I can understand the struggle that you both had, the heartbreak, the feeling of being alone and everything else. But I'm trying to get to a funny point here, because my mum told me that she was 18 when she had me, 18 or 19. Well, a while ago, she sends me a message saying, darling, would you come out for my 60th birthday? I said, Mum, you're not 60 this year. She went, yes, I am. I said, no, you're not. She went, yes, I am. She said, I know when I was born. I said, but hang on. Didn't you tell me you was 19 when you had me? She went, oh, yeah, about that. Actually, I was 17. So because she was so worried about what other people would think and possibly what I would think, bless her, she sort of rearranged the dates a little bit just so it didn't look as bad from her point of view. And then when she confessed and said, no, I actually had you when I was 17, I said, Mum, I honestly don't care.
Yeah. And most people, yeah, that's just it. Most people don't.
Yeah, I'm like, you was in an impossible situation. I'm just grateful that she was able to. I mean, I don't even know how she did it, to be honest with you. I think she's amazing. But what you're doing right now, helping people who are going through the similar situation to you, who are trying to find their kids, you know, adults who suddenly realize that they're adopted or have known for a while and want to find their parents. What you're doing to help all these people is just absolutely amazing, Marcie.
Well, thank you. You know, there's so many layers to adoption, and even back then, even the professionals, did we not think of these things? Like, first of all, lack of resources should never be the reason that someone surrenders their child for adoption. Never. You know, mother and child should stay together. We should help mother and child stay together. You know, I'll probably get smacked for this, but, you know, a lot of the churches want to jump in on adoptions. But if that mother had just had a little bit of help, her life isn't going to be the same in 5 years. She could be a really good mother. Why not take the mother and the child in the church or whomever could do the right thing and help that mother and child stay together? So they, you know, let's talk about keeping families together first and foremost. Adoption will always have a place, but it's really not about a way to create a family. It's for first interest of the child come first. It's about a homeless child. It's supposed to be about orphans.
Yeah.
That's what it's supposed to be about. And there was never any name changing and altered birth certificates. But because the birth certificates, like I said, around World War II, a lot of them were stamped illegitimate or bastard. They wanted to keep that child from shame when entering school.
Yeah.
So they decided to change all of that. And it's just evolved throughout the years that, you know, taking someone's identity is never okay.
No, and my gosh, I mean,
And I never, the medical piece of it. And my daughter, like I said, she looked because she was having medical issues. And I had disclosed everything in the medical records. Well, you can sell a healthy white female baby that doesn't have any problems. So when I spoke with the adoptive mother, when we crossed records, 30 years later, those records were pulled out of there because I had seizures, and I put that down there that I'd had a history of seizures. Well, my daughter did too, and that was another reason she wanted her medical records. She said, I need to know this so I can get my help. I need to know what's wrong with me.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And she had a stroke.
Oh my gosh.
So, adoptees are dying because they can't get their information. Why is that okay? Why didn't we think about that?
Yeah, that's not acceptable. And then the other thing, I mean, what about people with, kidney failure and things like that, where a blood relative could help save their life? That's crazy.
So we need to open the records, and people need to get over these fears about, if someone wants to go in, opening the records doesn't always end up in a reunion.
Yeah.
It's not about reunion, although a lot of them lead to reunion. It's about what belongs to you. That's your identity. That piece of paper is your identity. And we the non-adopted, we take it for granted.
Yeah.
I never thought of it like that until, my daughter explained it to me, and until I met the adoption community, until I realized, that's when I wrote my state senator, I said, this is messed up. I mean, if I don't know it and I'm a mom, then there's so many other people that the rest of the world doesn't know it either. So let's bring a little bit of awareness to it.
Absolutely.
So that's how that whole thing started, was me writing my state senator. And then come to find out, we got a House bill on the floor, but it got denied. But there was a gal that was an adoptee in Bloomington who was trying to do the same thing I was trying to do down here.
Wow.
Indiana, and we teamed up, and that's where she had started here. Hoosiers for Equal Access to Records. That's the legislative piece.
Right.
The bill passed. And then once we got the bill passed, and it took us almost 10 years, we got the records to open. Then we realized that all these people that were in reunion or wanted to be in reunion were going to need emotional support.
Yes.
They were going to need help. And so we formed Indiana Adoptee Network, which is a post-educational resource.
Right.
So you can anybody, actually, it says Indiana, but we are really a national organization, and we're getting ready to change our name. So, yeah.
That's just amazing. So that your reach for helping people is just growing and growing, and that's absolutely fantastic. Now, I know you've got your shoebox book, The Shoebox Effect, which is absolutely amazing, and the reviews are fantastic. I mean, you've like 4.7 rated on Amazon, which is just phenomenal. And I do know that you were fantastic enough to do a young children's book as well, to help parents and children,
yes,
explain their situation, which I think is absolutely wonderful, because it's got to be tough for parents to try and explain to their child, well, actually, we're not blood related, but blood doesn't mean anything. You're still my baby. I still love you.
Exactly. They have their adoption story with the parents from what they call their gotcha day.
Right.
But let me back up before I say this. This book was co-written by Pam Krosky, who is my really close friend and the one that started Hoosiers for Equal Access to Records, and we co-founded IAN. So she's the adoptee. So there's no children's book that's been written by an adoptee and a birth mom.
Right.
So we wrote this book, and it's called Frankie and Friends Talk Adoption.
That's it.
Yeah, see the little guy, little Frankie?
So cute.
And what it is, this is for adoptive parents to start a dialogue with their children, to get them engaged. Because when they're little, they're going to have feelings, but they have no labels for these feelings.
Yes.
They can't articulate why they feel icky or sad. And they're going to be sad. Or on their birthday, what their little minds are thinking. So these questions in here validate their little feelings. And the adoptive families can help their children and say, it's okay. It's okay to be sad today. Or what are you thinking? Do you need to can we have a Frankie talk? So we're transforming all that, transferring all that into this little guy. So instead of making it about them, so they'll open up more.
Yes.
And their parents can then guide them in an emotionally healthy manner to validate that they're safe, they're secure, and all their feelings are normal. These questions were formed by adoptees. This is how they felt when they were children. And they said if they had a Frankie when they were growing up, if my adopted mom, if she had this book, it would have helped me so much, because they don't want to hurt, they're afraid they're going to hurt their adopted family.
Of course they are, especially
hurt their feelings. And these are little children, right?
Yeah.
So they don't say anything. And then they internalize it and they start a false belief system. We don't want to do that. You want to start them off with a healthy belief system about their adoption. So we think that Frankie can do that. And we're hoping that. So he's really cute.
He is really, really cute. And I love the fact that you've done that, because personally, I don't think I have one friend, or have had one friend throughout my life that I know of that was adopted. So it must be tough for really young children, because the chances of them actually having a friend or knowing of somebody else who's in a similar situation, I would imagine, is really unusual. So that makes your book and the fact that it's such a good tool even more important, because so many children either feel lonely in their own situation because they don't know anybody else who's been in there, and it must be quite isolating to bottle up all those feelings as a child.
Yes. And actually, if you look at the book, we have endorsements by a Harvard lecturer that specializes in adoption. Wow. And also an adopted mom who's raised 2 daughters and who has written a very, very popular book in adoption called The Primal Wound, and also Coming Home to Self. She's going to be on our Adoption Happy Hour I'm the host of Adoption Happy Hour that we hold on Friday nights at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time for anyone that wants to join us.
Fantastic. And where can they join in on that?
Well, you can go to Indiana Adoptee Network and like us on Facebook. You can friend me on Facebook and I can help you out there as well.
Fantastic.
But anybody is welcome to come to that. So we're having an amazing guest this Friday night. But anyway, it's endorsed by these women who have used similar tools like this in their practices with children.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I don't think you can get any better recommendations than people that are actually using the skills and have done similar things or have read the book, and it's been such a good tool for them and their kids. There's no better recommendation than that, is there? It's absolutely amazing. We got Series come on. She said your book cover's super cute.
Oh, thank you.
I love it. It's so good. It's so good. Now, could you possibly hold up your book, the Shoebox Effect book, just so we can have a look? It's absolutely lovely. It really, really is.
Okay, this is the book.
That's it. There we go. And basically, that is your shoebox.
Yes.
That's absolutely amazing. You are such an inspiration, Marcie. You really are. Now, not to put you on the spot or anything, but could you read us a little bit?
Oh, I would love to.
Would you? Oh,
yeah.
You're so awesome. You're so awesome. And after you've read it, if anybody has any questions, please put them in the comments, because Marcie would be thrilled to answer them.
Yes,
Is that right, Marcie?
Yes, because I also have some giveaways that I want to mention too. For anybody, we still have plenty of people on, right?
Oh yeah, we're good. We're good.
Okay. You have to be watching this, and you have to say that you heard about it on Writer's Rock to get into our drawing. Okay.
There we go.
I would be happy to read. You know, my book, just to let you know, started out as a memoir, and you'll see it's a little bit unique. It's a little bit of a hybrid, because at the end of each chapter, I know what I've gone through by utilizing the shoebox effect, because it is a real term. But it's written for you, because we all have our own shoeboxes.
Yeah.
We might not have a physical one. We might. It might be an emotional one. It might be a spiritual one. It might be just something that you carry in your heart. But all of us have our boxes. Okay? I
would absolutely 100% agree with that, Marcie.
And we can't keep the lids on them forever, because, you know, the truth, and it will eventually, it'll let you find you.
Yeah.
And I never sought out to be a writer, but the story came looking for me, and it was just too big. It made me become
It's a story that needed to be told. It really, really, really did.
So when I read you this, I think you'll understand what I'm talking about. And thank you for letting me do this.
Oh, you are so welcome.
Okay. I want all of you to know this, that there's magic in your mess. You may have to sit in it for a bit, or sift through all the broken pieces of your life. But those dysfunctional shards and your distorted sense of self are actually the makings of a new, stronger you and better you. Whether your pain came from the heartache of a lost love, divorce, a financial mess, regret from poor choices, or anything else, we've all been through something. Life is messy, that's a fact. But that messiness offers you opportunities to regroup and stand in your sacred place. Denial is a mask that the wounded wear. For me, once I shed the role of the consummate actress and stepped into my truth, all of it, I was able to shed the emotional shackles that kept me a prisoner for decades. I finally found my clarity and my purpose. God doesn't promise us a Hallmark ending, but he does promise us he will never leave us during our darkest hours. Rethinking the shoebox effect saved my life, and it can save yours too. If you are hurting and lost, grieving for the lost places of your past, know there is a way back to joy. Let me help you. Let me show you. When a story is told, it's not forgotten. It becomes something else. The memories of who we were and the hope of what we can become.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
So what's in your shoebox?
Do you know what, Marcie? Honestly, I feel so connected with you. And I wish we'd have known each other when I had my car accident. Because, oh my gosh, I know it's obviously it's nothing related to being adopted or, you know, anything like that. But I did go through a huge grieving process and a huge period of depression. Obviously being in severe pain didn't help either. But it was really hard to come out of that. And what you're doing for families and you know, adoptees is just such a huge lifeline. And I feel so grateful on their behalf, to be honest with you. I think it's so fantastic. I really do. Now, obviously, with the pandemic that's happened, it's put a mockers on everybody.
Sure has.
And I know that you were really active doing, you know, speaking engagements and coaching, and you've been doing so much actively helping people. Obviously, are you trying to do as much as you can now online, as well as obviously selling your book, which is available on Amazon, by the way?
It's available on Amazon. And if you go to my website and marciekeitley.com, you enter your email address, you can download the first chapter for free.
Oh, fantastic.
And actually, the book is on sale right now, too. So, and it's on Kindle. So you can do that as well. Yes. But you can start on it like tonight, and you can find out about Dreyfus. And that first chapter is very powerful. Wanda, just make sure you have tissues, Wanda.
Oh, there we go. Wanda, you need tissues. Siri's put a comment as well. Hi, Siri. Magic in the mess. I love that.
That's my favorite from the book.
She says it's so inspiring. Just that one passage spreads so much positivity. Thank you for this. I absolutely agree. I think even in the, you know, I always think of life as sometimes being like a tornado. You know, you've got all this stuff swirling around you, and wherever you look, it's just chaos. However, every tornado has a calm spot, somewhere where you can contemplate what is going on and figure out how to proceed from there. And then the moment you get to that quiet spot to really rationalize your situation, that's when all the wind surrounding you starts to calm down and you can see your path.
Yeah, and I offer that in my coaching program. I'm working on an online course that I do the one-on-one coaching too for those individuals that, whether you want to write a book or not, but maybe you just want to, you want to get your personal, deal with your personal past. And there's a way to do it. You know, there is a way to recreate your life story if you're in pain right now. And that's what I'm doing. I want to help you recreate your life story and get rid of those false beliefs. And if you have any, trauma in the past, then I can help you get centered and walk you through that grief. And through my story, I can share how I did it and how it's changed my life. Because I'll tell you something, women's stories, our voices are powerful.
Yeah.
And, our voices are like the strongest, the resource that we have. Our voices are strong.
Yeah.
I believe that the shoebox effect is a movement. It is, for me, it's a movement. And I think, women that read my book that have reached out to me, they've stepped out and said, hey, I've had people take pictures of their shoeboxes and send them to me and say, oh, you made me think of this. And it reminded me of that. And, oh, I really need to deal with, X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
So to the point, again, this is one of the giveaways. We have a shoebox movement.
Oh, that is fabulous.
Okay. So I'm giving away a t-shirt, and all you need to do is hashtag shoebox movement if you're online tonight, please. So we can get your name. We need to get their email addresses. How can we do that?
We can add it to the comments actually on the video.
Okay. So I'm going to give one of these away and an autographed copy of the Shoebox Effect.
Oh, Marcie, thank you so much. And what I will do, if it's okay with you, I think what you're doing is so important. I'd like to be able to put your details on my website, if that's all right, and also the Writers Rock website, because obviously the more people that are helped to get through these difficult times, obviously, I mean, the more the merrier, isn't it? The more you help, the merrier. I think it's absolutely, it's just absolutely incredible.
Thank you. Thank you.
It really is. Oh, I think you're absolutely fabulous. I really do. Now, one last question before we finish, because I think this is quite important. I know obviously women in the, have gone through, years and decades of being told what they can and can't do when it comes down to having, a baby out of wedlock and everything else. And also, the trauma of finding out that you're adopted and everything else as well. Is it me, or do you find that it can affect men worse just because we have a whole generation or generations of men being told to bottle up? You don't show your feelings. Keep it inside, man.
You hit on that. And it is true that men process this differently than women. And more women seek reunion than men.
Right.
And our organization, we actually have our own men's group because we are different. Yeah.
This is why I asked. Yeah.
Yes. We hold an annual conference in Indianapolis each year, which of course we had to cancel this year's and postpone it till 2021. But for the men out there that are adopted, or if you know someone that is adopted, we have adoptees, birth parents, adopted parents come from all over the United States to our conference. We had representation from 4 countries.
Wow, that's fantastic.
So it's continuing to grow, and it's all about networking and fellowshipping and education and sharing our stories, sharing our grief, sharing our losses, and know that we are not alone. Because that's the thing about your story. I mean, when you share your story, you don't know who is in a prison emotionally, in an emotional prison that you're releasing by just sharing it. You don't know the lives you're touching. And we have to continue to do that. So our conference, it just keeps getting bigger and better every year, and we're so proud of it. And this is 3 women that have done this. Myself and my girlfriend Jennifer. This is 3 of us, and we're so proud. So now we have this conference, and we passed a 70-year-old. We changed a 70-year-old law in Indiana, and we have our happy hour on Friday night, and we're looking to do some amazing things yet with Frankie, and I love it.
It's just fantastic. I'm so thrilled that you're reaching so many people, and it's just gaining momentum. I mean, the fact that it's now become international is huge. And hopefully now that you've changed the laws in Indiana, hopefully that will have a knock-on effect and get other states changing their laws as well.
New York was the one that they just pulled the Band-Aid off. I mean, there is no veto. There's there's just nothing. I mean, see, ours has a veto in it, so a mom could say no.
Right.
We don't think that that's right. I mean, everybody should have it. Everybody should be entitled to it. But it took us so long, and less than 1/10 of 1% of moms say no anyway when they're approached. So we just couldn't throw the baby out with the bathwater. We had to say yes. So, but we want to change that, and we want to be just as clean as New York is. But yeah, New York's opened up, and it was a really big deal. So
just amazing. You're one of those people, Marcie, you and your colleagues, who are changing the world for the better.
I hope so. I've always said that. I always wanted to, from the time I was young. I always can remember, what would they say? What do you want to grow up to be? And I said, I just want to make a difference somehow. Just a difference.
You're making a huge difference, Marcie. And I've got to tell you, your daughters and your husband must be beyond proud of you.
Yeah, it's well, you'll find out. I don't want to give it away in the book. It's a tough read, guys. but it does have a silver lining in there. So.
Oh, I'm so excited to read it. I really am. And I'm just going to show another comment. Look, from Siri. She says, you're a true hero.
I don't know about that.
Well, I absolutely agree. And do you know what makes you even more amazing is you are so modest about it. Even though you make such a difference to so many people, you're just so down to earth and modest. And I absolutely adore you, Marcie.
I love you too, Beth.
I really do. I really do. All your links and everything are underneath the video. Don't forget, everybody who's watching, to share the hashtag, get involved.
Share the hashtag. Friend me.
Yeah, befriend Marcie. Get on her website. Go on her Facebook page. Hashtag.
Yep.
And then you could get picked as the winner.
Yes. And you can also reach me on the Shoebox Effect on IG, the Shoebox Effect on Instagram,
yes,
Shoebox Effect on Twitter.
Right. So basically, the more you share that the Shoebox hashtag on all your social media platforms, the more chance you got of winning. And
if you've got a shoebox, take a picture of it. Put it out. You buy the book, take a picture of it, or you and the book, and send it to me. I'm starting a shoebox society, and I would like for you to be a part of it.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to do that.
But you have to meet Murphy first before we go. I knew she would do this. Hello, Murphy.
Oh my gosh.
She always tries to get in on all of Mommy's calls.
She's so cute. I've got to say, my daughter's dog, Bella, is lying right next to me, and she let out the biggest fart about half an hour ago. And I sort of side glanced, and I thought, I hope nobody thought that was me.
No, she's been good. I didn't hear it.
Thank the Lord. She stinks like a polecat.
Oh, this has been so wonderful. I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to share my story. And I hope all of you will go out to Amazon, buy it.
Absolutely. And please, everybody, make sure when you buy Marcie's book or books, because don't forget there's the children's one as well, please leave an Amazon review, and please share Marcie's Facebook page and book details on all your social media, because chances are you may know somebody who is adopted, who
one in 8.
Yeah, who's going through this and do the support. So, you never know who you might be helping by sharing Marcie's details and her books. Siri says, oh, she's so cute. Marcie, thank you so much for joining me, darling.
You're welcome. It was great. I really enjoyed it.
I've loved talking to you every minute. Now, when are you picking the winner for the giveaway?
Well, let's see. We could do it. I know we can do it later on tonight or tomorrow.
Okay. Well, should we do it tomorrow? And then, because some people are working and aren't able to watch us live, but we'll watch the video as soon as they get home.
Okay.
If that's all right with you. So if you could post the name of the winner underneath here and on your other social media, just to let everybody know if they've been tagging you, that would be fantastic. Your puppies.
Okay. Blow up their feed. That would be fun.
Marcie, thank you so much, darling. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today.
Thank you, Writers Rock.
Thank you, darlings. We love you millions, and we will see you, I believe, on Thursday for another author interview. They're going to have to step up to the plate to beat you on this one, Marcie, I've got to tell you.
Thank you, Beth. Night, Wanda.
We will speak to you all soon. See you, everybody, on Thursday. Thank you, Marcie. I love you millions.
Love you. Bye-bye.
See you later, darling. Bye.